What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger, a hoot and a holler, a true classic story. But before I get any further, drop a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, get ready for the Goblin test kits in collaboration with Bunk Police coming on October 8th. Ladies and gentlemen, we're bringing harm reduction straight to your pockets, okay? We're going to have all sorts of different reagent and strip and spot tests that you're going to be able to get your hands on for the same price as the entire rest of the industry. We're just bringing awareness to it and bringing some new innovative stuff that I can't quite talk about yet, but for all you substance abusers and consumers and enthusiasts out there, which I assume is most of you, buckle up, because coming October, you'll never again have to worry whether the pill you're popping is fake, whether the tab you're taking is fake. You're going to be able to test that and find out whether it's real or not, and all that scientific power fits right into your pocket. So buckle up. Hey, it's getting serious over here. Today, we have a very fun story. Now, I was going through my list of stories I still have yet to share with you guys and other video plans. I have a little document, a little note file in my phone that I go through all the time. At this point, it's actually like 5 note files, because sometimes I'll be really zooted, and then I'll just make a new one and then keep continuing off that, and then remember oh, wait, I still have stuff on the old one. Yeah, I'm rambling at this point, but today, we're actually remastering a video that is almost 9 years old at this point. I'm Unk now, ladies and gentlemen, okay? Back in the day, when I made this video, I was still a little kid, all right? I was up in that bitch. I couldn't even buy a gun yet, all right? Now, I'm a disgusting criminal, okay? I'm an old, wrinkly, gross, crusty Unk, all right? Times have changed. Life comes at you fast, ladies and gentlemen. Moral of the story, don't get old, I guess, is the story. No, actually, that's not a good moral of the story. No, you should get old. You should get old. No, you should do that. But listen, today's video is talking about a time almost a decade ago now that I was tripping balls at a movie theater when I went to see Dirty Grandpa 2. And there was a part of this story that I left out. And that's the reason that this video is happening right now. Because as I was rewatching this video, I realized, A, wow, I really sucked at storytelling back then, and B, I left out some really important details because I was scared that I would get in trouble for my videos. Now, as a grown adult, I know that nobody can punish me for my videos except for Uncle Sam, because I pay all my own bills. So, as long as the long arm of Uncle Sam hasn't struck me yet, we're golden. Now, before we dive into this one, hold on, I'll be right back, because I really need to get baked. I am not high enough for this. All right, I'm back, and I'm ready to rumble. I'm extremely locked in. I've taken a large dab. All right, so listen. This took place way back in my junior year of high school. I'm uncle now, all right? I'm 25 years old. Junior year of high school, I was 16 going on 17. So this was almost a decade ago. I'm in my midlife crisis right now, all right? So at this point, I was kicking it with my boy Ashton and my other homie Kyle, who, at this point, all of you guys know, these are the two gentlemen kind folk that I smoked crack with when I was in high school. And on this fateful day, Ashton had hit me up, and he told me, he said, yo, listen, I got these new tabs in. They're super fire. They're these crazy, needle point, 100% pure tabs that he was talking about. He was gassing them up. I don't remember exactly what he said, but either way, I was excited. Anytime that someone told me, yo, I have great acid for you, I was hype. I was down to take that shit. So I was like, hey, what's the play? What are we doing? And we decided that we wanted to go see a movie. In particular, Dirty Grandpa 2 had just come out. Now, honestly, I can't tell you any plot points, especially now. Even back in this video, as I was rewatching it, I didn't discuss many of the plot points, but really, truly, I have little to no recollection of the plot of this movie. I was tripping my fucking cock off sitting in this theater. There was maybe 10% of my focus was going to the movie, and the other 90% was wow, Grandpa's face is melting, and the young boy in here looks like a demon, and also every time I look to my left, I see the shadow people, but they're cool, so I'm not really scared. It was quite the trip. So either way, I linked up with my homie Ashton after school. We went and we grabbed Kyle, and one detail crucially that I left out of this story was the driving part. You see, back when I was younger, I was kind of scared to talk about driving under the influence. I was worried that I was going to get in trouble for it somehow, and also, I felt bad about it to an extent. Even back then, when I was stupid and reckless, like, in the moment, I would never feel bad, but then looking back, I'd always be like, oh, fuck, like, I shouldn't talk about that. So I guess I'm kind of exposing myself right now, but in all reality, I drove fucked up all the time when I was younger, and it's extremely stupid to do. Even back then, we still had Uber. We still had ways to get around. There's no excuse for what I was doing, but at the same time, I was broke. I was just desperate to get high every day, and that's all I ever spent my money on, and I didn't care about it. So it's not an excuse, but that's my explanation. It is what it is. So at this point, I didn't even consider that we should get a ride to the movie theater because the movie theater was so close to Kyle's house. So me and Ashton drove to Kyle's house and we picked him up. And I remember we just pulled up to the movie theater, which was like maybe 5 minutes away, if even, in the car. We're driving my mom's Honda CRV, mind you. So like this is, this car is very important. Like she uses this, she drives this to work. All right. This is a big deal. So we got to take good care of the whip. But either way, when we got to the movie theater, we realized that we didn't really have enough money between all of us to get the tickets to go inside. There's 3 of us there, and 3 movie tickets, even then, was still almost $50, if not more. We're going to AMC. This is the big baller theater. So luckily, our AMC, they had a bit of an in. All you had to do was get one person in the door. You could just have one homie buy a ticket and then just go pop the exit door open. And they never covered it. They never enforced it. They never did anything. I've literally gone to this AMC and done this in front of employees and they just watch. Like, they might even say something or like, look at you dirty. You could tell they're judging you. They're like, oh, this poverty scum didn't purchase a ticket. Like, look at this poor peon walking past me to see his movie that he so desperately needs to see, and he can't even afford a snack, let alone a beverage. They definitely look at you a certain way, but they don't do anything, and that's the important part. So Kyle went and paid for his ticket, and then he went and let me and Ashton in the side exit door. And what's actually hilarious about this is Kyle is now the general manager of this exact movie theater. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, not just like the same chain, different location. Like, literally this movie theater. He is now like a tenured employee there, a model employee there, got promoted through the ranks. So, damn, dude, they promoted a thug. They hired a thug thief. Kyle, my homie, he committed crime that day. Luckily, he changed. He's reformed now. But either way, he lets us in the side door. And we're inside. However, at this point, the acid is now smacking us in the face, all right? I had drove over and picked up Kyle pretty all right. We were doing okay. We hung out a little bit before going straight to the movie theater, and we dropped acid at that point. And once we got in the door, it just nailed me. It beat my ass. And this was a long time ago, so I don't remember the exact physical feeling that I had, but I vividly remember the visuals being wild. And I remember that I was tripping balls this night. All of us were. Like I said earlier, can't tell you a single detail about this fucking movie, but either way, we go into the theater for Dirty Grandpa 2, and I remember we sat right up front because we didn't want to take someone else's seat. We didn't know how long the movie had been going, so we were like, shit, dude, like, someone could still come here and sit down. So we sat all the way in the front fucking row. We're in the neck-breaking seats. So we're sitting there, and we're just looking up the entire time, tripping dick. So already the screen is distorted naturally just from the seats that we're in, the position that we're viewing the screen from. And then on top of that, we're on fucking acid. So it's really distorted, and it's really creepy. And also, what's kind of weird is this is back in the day when movies were popping at any time of day. It didn't matter what day of the week you went. If you didn't go at like 11 a.m., the movies were fucking packed. And originally, we wanted to see, I think it was like Deadpool or some shit. We wanted to see some superhero movie, but they were checking tickets at the door because of dirty little delinquents like us. So we couldn't get into that. So we ended up going to Dirty fucking Grandpa. So the three of us are sitting in one of the frontmost rows in the theater, and one of us, I don't remember if it was Ashton or Kyle, I'm pretty sure it was Ashton, if I remember correctly, but one of us brought in a dryer vape, and listen, these things still suck nowadays, so just imagine the 2016 dryer vape that we were stuffing full of mid, alright? This thing was disgusting, but it was at the movie theater, so it added like 50 cool points and made it acceptable. At the crib, get that shit away from me. You know, take the weed out of that, put it in a blunt. But at the movie theater, hey, that's cool. The dryer vape, run that shit. But this was like the primitive days of dryer vapes. Also, we were fucking tripping. So every rip we took off this thing had the opposite effect. Instead of calming us down and chilling us out, it made me trip way fucking harder. It made my visuals go way fucking crazier. And that's one of my favorite things about smoking while I'm tripping, is that there's no other, I mean, even shrooms, there's not really another substance that I've done where I smoke weed and it intensifies it, but acid, you smoke a blunt or you take a fat bong rip, you are gone. If you take a big dab, it's over with, dude. You're going to be in Narnia. You're going to be in Zoot City. And honestly, I hope the rent prices there are good, because LA is expensive and I'm getting tired of it. So maybe I will go to Zoot City. So we're all smacking up this dryer vape. And I mean, really, the movie, it was background noise. Honestly, I think you could have put almost any movie on the screen and it would have been priceless to us, because I'm rewatching this video and I was ranting and raving in the original video I made about this, talking about Dirty Grandpa. I was like, oh dude, this movie's stellar. No, it's not. I'll tell you right now, no, it's not. You know, I was on drugs, and I was probably on drugs when I recorded the original video, too. So, take that into consideration, all right? Dirty Grandpa 2 is not that funny. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. You guys might call me crazy. You want a funny movie? Go watch Borat, all right? The ones after that, we don't really talk about that much. But the OG, hey, we talk about that one. So, after a little bit, Ashton and I were trying to go smoke some cigarettes, which is a quintessential part of any psychedelic experience. You know, in my opinion, a cigarette just harmonizes everything. I was the kind of guy where, like, I wouldn't even chain smoke when I was not tripping, like when I was sober, when I was stoned, or even a little drunk. But specifically when I was tripping balls, oh, buddy, pass me like 5 Marbreds and I'm going to turn into a chimney. I'm going ape. So, you know, Ashton and I, we had left the theater and we asked Kyle if he wanted to come with us, and he was really into this fucking movie. He was like, no. Listen, this movie was a masterpiece, an absolute just art, a real exemplary film to Kyle. So he's like, no, I'm good. I'm watching this shit. So Ashton and I, we get up and we go out the back exit door. Originally, Kyle had let us in the front one, but now we had gone to the very back corner of the theater, and we propped open the door, and we sparked a couple cigarettes, because we just wanted to smoke up. We just wanted to chill and get some fresh air while we were tripping, chat it up a little bit. The movie, like I said, was just kind of background to us at this point. So we're smoking a couple cigarettes. We got the door propped open so we don't get locked out and have to show our tickets again. And, you know, at the time when this occurred, I thought it was the craziest thing ever. I thought it was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now I get it a little more, but there was what's a nice term for this? A BBW. There was a big, beautiful woman who, she approached us, and she didn't like that we were smoking cigarettes in the doorway. And granted, I mean, our smoke was totally getting in the hall, you know, and we were standing pretty close to a bathroom, which also was not very intelligent. So there was a decent amount of foot traffic, and most people just kind of eyed us up. You know, most people that were walking past just kind of looked at us. But this woman, this big, beautiful queen, she did not just look at us and walk away. She approached, and she was on her ass. She's like, oh, what are you kids doing? I don't remember exactly what she said, but I remember she was pissed. She was not fucking happy that we were smoking in the doorway. And honestly, I kind of get it. Like, yeah, we probably should have walked out a little further. So, like, my bad, shorty. You know, I fuck with big queens, you know? So, like, my bad. You know, nowadays, I totally wouldn't have done that. I would have been like, my bad, queen. That's all you. But at this time, I was a little more rowdy, a little more disrespectful, so it didn't go that way. So as we're kind of dealing with this big size queen, these kids walk up to us and they looked young as hell. I don't know how old they were. Probably no older than like 7th grade, maybe. I mean, these were young kids, like squeakers in the Xbox lobby type shit. They walked up to us and they asked us if we vape. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, are these kids going to ask us for like a cig or a vape right now? Or like, you know, that's got to be what this is. So I was kind of expecting that. And I was like, yeah, you know, and they just they're like, oh, that's cool, you know, whatever. Kind of stood there for a second. They asked my homie, they asked Ashton, they're like, oh, like, yeah, you vape too? You guys both vape? You know, kind of asked me again as well. Yeah, we vape, you know, yeah, we do that. Oh, okay, that's cool. They just walked away. They just left. It was like, honestly, it reminded me of in GTA 5 when you pass a strange NPC and they get up and just approach you and a cutscene starts and you're like, shit, I can't back out of this. That's what happened to me in real life with these two little like 12-year-olds who were fiending for a Newport or a Marb Red, which honestly we would have gave him either at this time, you know? I mean, Godspeed, kids. So this lady that was talking to us and kind of going back and forth with us, and me and Ashton were both talking hella shit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we were not being very respectful in any way, shape, or form. And at this point, we were kind of starting to make a scene. And I remember, like, other people were kind of starting to watch this woman yell at us. And eventually she got up in our face and she was like, oh, I'm gonna go get the manager, you know? I mean, she was really on that type of shit. And like I said, I mean, people were kind of making a scene, and Ashton and I were like, all right, this is not good. You know, we got acid in our pockets. Ashton's on probation, so like this was the kind of thing where we can't fuck around. Like we can't just have like a little run-in with some cops. You know, like, oh, these kids are smoking weed in the theater and the cigarettes out back and they're young, you know, like, yeah, we'll call the cops. I mean, this was the kind of thing. Listen, suburban Illinois, yeah, the cops are showing up for this kind of thing. There wasn't much crime in my area growing up, okay? I had a nice little suburban childhood, all right? So, hell yeah, we were concerned about that stuff. But either way, so Ashton and I just kind of like closed the door. We just closed the door, and at this point now we're outside, and we're like, well, Kyle's still in the movie, so that's a problem, you know. And this woman, after getting up in our face, you know, she kind of started waddling away to go get an employee, and we closed the door and just kind of dipped, and we're like, well, Kyle's in the theater. What the fuck do we do? So we're calling Kyle and we're ringing him up. And listen, Kyle is a great moviegoer. He's the kind of dude who he's not answering the phone at the theater. Like, he doesn't care. He's not going to get up and even walk out. The phone's on silent. He doesn't fucking know you called him, all right? He is dedicated to that goddamn movie, okay? So we're sitting there and we're like, fuck, you know, we can't leave him here. Like, we also can't get in because we don't have any money to buy another ticket. So we're chilling outside by the front exit where we came in, and we're thinking to ourselves, we're like, well, what do we do? You know, we could try to wait for someone to pop this exit open and then just run in real quick and hope they don't care, which is honestly something we've done before. I mean, it does work. It's not a guaranteed failure, and we're like, okay, maybe we could do that. But also, at this point, you know, there weren't a ton of people coming out of the theater. You know, it wasn't like, this was one of many exits as well. This was not like one of the only ways people could get out the front. So it was kind of like a luck thing, whether or not you'd get someone who would crack the door open and let you run in behind him. So we just kind of posted up and waited and chain smoked some cigarettes, and we're tripping balls still. I mean, we are feeling fantastic. And I remember I'm ripping this cigarette. I'm looking at the sky. I'm like, wow, it's beautiful. You know, it didn't matter what time of day it was. You know, if you're tripping hard enough, those visuals are going to make the sky just beautiful. You know, I mean, you can go look at the stars. You can go look at the clouds. You can look at the sun if you got some sunglasses on, hopefully. It's just, you know, I was always the kind of guy who would appreciate the visuals, and I kind of get lost in them. Sometimes, you know, I would have to like snap out of it because I'd just be so zoned out, just focusing on all the different little details and the visuals of every trip I'd have. You know, I'd notice all the little things like, wow, I'm noticing a repetition of shapes and different patterns that I'm seeing, and all the little things. I just loved that. That was my favorite part about tripping, and this trip was no exception. I mean, I was having some incredible visuals and some incredible patterns that I was seeing in the sky in particular. It was just fucking awesome. And we're vibing outside, and finally Kyle comes out. And we're like, yo, like, Kyle, we've been waiting for you. You didn't pick up your phone. Where the fuck are you? And Kyle's like, yo, you guys missed one of the greatest movies of all time. And Kyle, I think, still even stands by that opinion of like, Dirty Grandpa 2 is fantastic. I think he needs to rewatch it and change that opinion ASAP. But he stands by it. But he loved it at this point. So he's like, yo, you guys fucking missed out. Like, this movie was great, right? So he had the dry herb vape, I'm pretty sure, at this point. So we were kind of waiting for that. We dipped out, and I remember we went and we hopped back in my car. And we're sitting in my mom's Honda CR-V, and we're like, all right, who's tripping the least? Because at this point, we were all kind of trying to go home. We all wanted to play some video games. So, Ashton was trying to play some Counter-Strike with me. I was like, bet, all right, let's go home. So who's tripping the least? And we're kind of trying to figure it out. And Ashton's like, all right, well, I'll fucking drive back to my crib, and then, Nick, you can drive back and drop off Kyle and then go to your house. And I was like, bet. That's perfect. That works for me. So I threw him the keys. We switched seats. I'm sitting shotgun, and Ashton's sitting in the driver's seat. And we pull the fuck out of the AMC. But we don't just pull out normally now. We roar out of that bitch. You see, they had these little medians. And they weren't like big, like they weren't walls or anything. It was just kind of an elevated curb with like a patch of dirt and grass in the middle. And Ashton just went straight over one. Like he didn't see it at all. Just straight over. So we're kicking up dirt. And none of us really reacted like it was very unusual. I remember we're all just laughing. We're like, damn, like, yo, like, that was fucking crazy. Like, you made a mess back there. We're looking out the back. There's just dirt all over the fucking pavement. So already we're off to a roaring start. We pull out of the parking lot and we hop on the main road. And Ashton was nuts because this guy, mind you, is on probation for stealing a fucking car. Okay? And he also didn't have a driver's license at this point. And here he is on acid driving my mom's car back to his house. And if he got pulled over for this, literally go to jail card, do not pass go, do not collect $200, just straight to jail. So he was wildin'. Like, he really did not give a shit in any way, shape, or form. But either way, he's whipping it. And I remember we're bumping some fucking music. And at this point, Kyle was really obsessed with the song Blase Blase. Bro, I mean, I still remember the hook to this song, the intro to it. Those of you guys who have heard this song, I mean, you know it. Kyle, for some reason, would play this song like 8 times in a row. And occasionally I would get fucked up enough where I'd be down for it. I'd be like, yo, run it back. But like normally Kyle he'd be like, yo, can you play Blase? And then if we didn't do it fast enough, he'd get like really insistent about it. He'd be like, yo, play Blase. Yo, can you, I mean, come on, dog, play fucking Blase. And eventually, we cave, we play Blase. And then once it hit the end, he'd be like, all right, run it back. I mean, it's like an RXK nephew track where he's running the beat back 5 fucking times. Same thing here. Okay? Running the shit back like 5 times. So, I mean, Blase is ingrained in my head at this point. If I hear that song one more time, I'll have a mental boom. Okay? Either way, we're whipping back. We're bumping Blase. Ashton gets back to his house completely fine. And he throws me the keys. And I'm sitting there and I realize I have to drive. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking tripping balls, And I had driven on like light acid before, not like fully tripping hardcore visuals. I'd driven on like the come down when it was like, okay, I dosed a long time ago. Now I'm just, kind of getting some fuzzy, some tracers and, feeling lightheaded and stuff. I did that, which also, by the way, I don't recommend, guys. I'm not trying to make this sound normal because it's not. You should never drive on any of this shit, especially now that it's so easy to go on ride-sharing apps. Oh my God. I'm going to get clowned for that in the comments. But either way, and it's so easy to get a ride now. There's no excuse for this kind of shit, and I regret it very badly, even though I never heard anybody doing it really, like I never crashed into anyone, killed any people, did any stuff like that. It was still extremely stupid of me to do, and a lot of people do end up doing that, doing the similar stuff that I was doing. So yeah, learn from that. Don't do what I was doing. But either way, so I'm driving Kyle back home at this point. And, I'm going slow. I'm on a main ass road and I'm going slow as fuck in the far right lane. And this was not my first rodeo driving on this road tripping dick. I'd done the route back from Ashton's house intoxicated pretty much every time I hung out with him and had to drop him off. So this was nothing new, but I was fucking lit. So I remember I'm going slow and Kyle just kept talking to me because I asked him to. I remember I said to him, I was like, yo, hold the conversation with me. I need to lock in. And he's like, all right, bet. And I was like, also tell me how I'm driving. If I fuck up, tell me. And he's like, cool. All right, bet. Make it out of his neighborhood. I'm on the main road, whipping back. Kyle's house was about a 15-minute drive. So we're cruising back, and once we get into Kyle's neighborhood, I remember I was kind of fucking tweaking, and all the roads at night in Kyle's neighborhood, him and I don't know why I call it Kyle's neighborhood, because him and I lived in the same neighborhood at this point. So actually, it was our neighborhood. It was not just Kyle's. But either way, I get back there, and I'm tweaking, and I'm like, yo, where the fuck are we? This all looks the same. And I knew where my house was just kind of by spirit. My heart guided me there. Built-in GPS, like a goddamn Apple tag. But Kyle's house, I needed a little more mental capacity for, and I just didn't have it at this point. So I just went back to my crib, I remember, and I pulled my driveway, and Kyle just gets out of the car, and we're sitting in my driveway, and we're just vibing. I didn't go inside yet. I didn't want to go inside. We're just fucking vibing, right? We're hanging out. And, looking back at it, my mom was so fucking lenient because, she for sure knew what I was doing, dude. Just pulling up in the whip. It's trashed in that bitch. We've been smoking blunts in that hoe all night, just up to no goddamn good. Coming and sitting in the driveway, tripping balls. She knew everything. I thought I was slick, though. I was like, yo, if we just, sit at the end of the driveway, the camera can't see there. We're good, we're posted there. So we're hanging out for a little bit. Finally, I say my goodbye. I say, Kyle, I'll catch you later. I dap his ass up. And I go back up in the crib, and I remember Ashton and I had played some Counter-Strike later that night, grinding that shit. We played Counter-Strike all the fucking time. And I was still tripping balls. I would say it took me probably another 4 hours to get to a point where I really actually would have been more okay to drive. I was in no condition to drive myself, or Ashton. He wasn't either at that point. But my God, we did what we had to do. So, hey. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my podcast, The Gobcast, which drops every Wednesday. Lock in, subscribe to that channel, turn your notifications on both of my channels, and I'll see you all in the next one. Deuces.